Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to the latest iteration of Ask the Pastor here at Park Church. I am your friendly neighborhood Pastor Darryl, and I am so pleased to be with you yet again. Thank you so much for all the questions that you are sending in. This really is a great opportunity for us to wrestle with some really excellent and phenomenal ponderings that you have sent in our way. And if you have a question, please send it to us at office@parkchurchgr.org. We will add it to our basket of questions, and we will try to draw it and answer it in the weeks and months to come. But it is such a wonderful time to just kind of wrestle and ponder and discern some meaning and to go deeper in our faith through these wonderful questions. So thank you for sending them in. So let's draw our question for this week. And let's see what we have. Where are you finding joy in these times? Where are you finding joy in these times? Well, that's a really great question. I wonder what you mean by these times. Do you mean these times in the life of our congregation? Do you mean these times in my own personal life, or the times in socio-political of our country, of our world? Or do you mean like in terms of like the existential crisis, like the climate change and thermonuclear war being back on the horizon and such like that? I wonder what you mean by in these times. But I'm actually going to focus more on the joy part of the question, because I don't know where you are in your life. I don't know who you are, because at each moment in our lives, at each point of our faith journey, which at different segments of our journey through this life, from the first breath to the last, I think different times in our lives bring us joy differently. And each one of us are wired different, even though we are all reflections of God's image. That does not mean that we aren't diverse in what brings us joy and what fills us up. But I think this is a great opportunity to talk about joy as opposed to happiness. I've always differentiated between the two, though some people think of them as synonyms. I think of happiness as an emotional reaction to an outside stimuli. I'll give you an example. This past week I turned 50. That did not bring me joy. But I laughed so often at many of the birthday cards that members of Park Church and friends and family sent to me. That made me happy, reading the cards and laughing. The cards were very humorous and somewhat biting, which is a type of humor that I really appreciate. So the cards were an outside stimuli that caused laughter and happiness in me. But joy is what I think of as an existential state. It is a deep well of faith, and it's a spiritual aspect of our being, that we can be joyful and we may rejoice, even though the outside stimuli isn't necessarily making us happy. I can find joy in my life when my parents were dying. I can find joy in my life as I advocate for people who are being marginalized and treated meanly. I can find joy when my relationship with my friends and my family or my church isn't necessarily, going as swimmingly. So joy is something that's a deep well inside of us. And I kind of think of joy as an aspect of our relationship and our connection to the divine or to God or to something bigger and better and more sacred than us. So what brings me joy? What a Marie Kondo sort of question. I would say three things, and maybe these resonate with you. The first is really finding opportunities to do something that is exciting and life-giving. For me, in times such as this, I'll give you an example. It's very simple. I love throwing the ball with my dog in the snow. You would think, well, that sounds like outside stimuli, but it's not. it actually feeds my spirit so effusively. It's such an edifying experience to be outside with Willow and to laugh and to run with her and to throw the ball and to watch her just wiggle and her tail wag and her play with me. Playing with Willow brings me great joy. And I find joy in that in times such as this. Another thing that brings me great joy on the other side of the spectrum is finding moments of quiet. This world can get very chaotic and loud, and finding moments and stealing away moments of quiet really is a resource for finding joy and rejoicing in this time. And I'm not a parent, and I'm a pastor, so I work 1 hour a week. So it's easy for me to find time to be quiet. That's all facetious, obviously. But carving out 10, 15, 30 minutes a day to sit in silence for me is an important spiritual discipline to connect with God, to connect with myself, and to really find that joy and that rejoicing time in my life. So on one end, it's outside playing, laughing, fills me up with joy, but also being quiet and centered also brings me joy. And then last but certainly not least, getting outside myself and serving brings me joy. Now, that doesn't necessarily always mean that it's a happy experience. Sometimes serving those who are marginalized, those who are suffering, those who are being targeted and oppressed, I can get angry, and I can be prone to despair and doom because of what they are experiencing, or how our government is treating them, or how society is treating them, or I can really rage sometimes at the injustice of it all. And yet, in the midst of all that, the actual act of serving and connecting with my neighbor, and living into that Matthew 25 kind of idea that seeing someone who's hungry, seeing someone who's thirsty, visiting someone who is a captive, helping the sick, helping the widow and the orphan. When you do that, you do this unto Christ. When you serve the least of these, you are serving Christ. And that brings me joy and allows me to, again, to that connection and to fill up that deep recess and resource in my spirit with joy. So playing, quiet, serving. In times such as these, that is where I am finding joy. And maybe that helps you find some joy as well. Thank you very much for the question. I hope that this has been a wonderful time for you to wrestle with this question, and it's fed your faith and lifted your spirits. Until next time, my friends, I'm Pastor Darryl. I'll see you soon. May God bless you and keep you. Godspeed. Bye-bye.